Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back. My name is Alex and today we're talking about Wild Hearts. Now since this game has released, I've played it probably every day. Maybe I've missed like a day or two, but for the most part I've played this game every single day. And even though I thoroughly enjoyed this game has a lot of issues. It has a lot of systems that don't really make sense. And while I do understand that this game is a new IP, like they're just building a foundation to, build future content, future games potentially on top of, this game needs some quality of life love ASAP. So without further ado, let's actually get into the list because I got about 2 pages here of quality of life changes that I would like to see in the game and overall issues that I have with the game. So starting off, the actual training bear needs a buff. Now, I would say he needs like a pretty substantial buff because right now the bear is pretty much just a giant troll, dude. Like, if you didn't know, it's kind of scaled towards a low rank kimono, so all the damage you do to the training bear, none of that is ever going to translate into a real hunt unless you're like in chapter 1 still. That's it. So maybe we can get a training bear that we can set to maybe like a mighty rank or maybe a volatile rank, something like that. Give us the ability to actually crit the bear, maybe even break some parts off, maybe jump on and rip some threads out. Make it like an actual training, tool. That way we can test things out, we can test out builds. We can maybe adjust it to have certain elemental weaknesses, stuff like that. Make it like more, make it like a really important tool that we use before we actually go on a hunt. Because right now it's kind of like a joke. It's kind of like hilarious to see, 999 damage on it with certain weapons, but you're never going to hit that inside of an actual hunt. So I don't really see the point of actually, having that there. So if the bear could get a buff, that would be pretty amazing. And also, we could change the size of the training bear or get maybe a bigger training bear. That would be ideal because there's no monster in the game that's that tiny. I think maybe the Rage Tail is maybe the closest, but the bear is way too small. Now, next up is something that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, and that is because the entire end game of Wild Hearts kinda sucks. It doesn't really make any sense. There's no new gear, there's no new weapons. The only thing that you can get from the end game, from farming the volatile kimono that show up once you beat the story, you get to transmog your gear. And if you don't know what transmog is, in this game it's called armor cladding, but it pretty much just gives you the ability to change one piece of armor to look like another piece of armor. That's it. That's the whole reason to fight volatile kimono. Well, maybe not the entire reason because they do drop keys that allow you to fight the deep volatile kimono. But the only reason to fight those guys is to farm certain talismans, and we're going to talk about talismans here in a minute because that is also another issue that is on my list. But staying on track with the volatile kimono and the end game farming, we need a reason to actually fight these volatile kimono that does not revolve around getting armor transmog. Now I know it might be a big ask at the moment, but maybe they could add something like volatile armor because we got the human path armor, we got kimono path armor. Maybe they could add volatile armor and it can maybe have, maybe an extra perk, maybe allows you to slot extra talisman inside of your gear or something like that. Just anything. Give us a reason other than just transmog. And like I said earlier, the volatile kimono do drop keys that allow you to challenge and fight the deep volatile kimono. But I don't have a whole lot to say about that system. I think it's stupid. They should just delete the key system in general, just get rid of it. Allow us to fight the deep volatile kimono whenever we want to. That system needs to go. Because if you can consistently farm the deep volatile kimono, you deserve to get their drops. Even though the drops are terrible, you deserve to get it if you can actually beat those guys, consistently. Because I can guarantee you that most people are not farming deep volatile kimono. And staying on the topic of the transmog, if you're going to have a system like that in the game, make it more accessible. The price of the actual transmog or the armor cladding, what they call inside the game, it is way too expensive, dude. It costs way too many resources. It costs way too much gold. The materials that you need to actually craft it, it is a pretty rare drop. So you would have to farm one kimono over and over and over and over again just to get one piece of the armor. Now, sometimes you can get lucky. There are even times where I get like 8 orbs, from one kill. So that is pretty good. But overall, the actual cost of making the armor cladding needs to be cut by like 75%. And also the fact that we could transmog armor pieces, but not weapons is kind of insane. In this game, a whole bunch of the starter weapons look pretty dope and a lot of the end game weapons look pretty whack. And the fact that you're never going to be able to use some of those, starter weapons, unless you just want to nerf yourself completely, we need weapon transmog. I don't know how complicated a system that may be to implement at this point in time in the game, but I feel like that was a pretty big oversight, especially if they already got the armor transmog. Hopefully that's something they can add in the future because that would be pretty dope. Now, sticking with the end game for a second, the actual talismans that you can get from the Deep Volatile Kimono are actually not that bad. Some of them are really, really good. They're really powerful. But the talisman system in general, there's way too many talismans. This game is completely bloated with talismans and stats. This system needs to be simplified. There needs to be some type of way to actually target farm what you're looking for. I know that specific kimonos have specific drop pools, but dude, it is just way too much. And I embrace the grind. I love grinding games. I have no issue whatsoever grinding out builds and stuff like that. But this game is all way too random and there are just way too many talismans. Now that wouldn't be such a big deal if there were so many talismans in the game, if there was a way to, I don't know, combine talismans, some type of way to actually craft talismans that would require certain talismans to actually make a specific talismans. Any type of system would be better than the system that we have right now. There's just way too many. And this is one of those issues that didn't show up until I got to like the end game where I have like hundreds of talismans just taking up so many spots. Whenever I go to sort something, it takes like 5 to 10 seconds to like sort through all of my talismans. It's kind of insane, but I really think this might be an easy fix if they would just, kind of sort the talismans in a better way. Maybe have a sort page to where it shows, you can sort it by kimono, so that way it can tell you which kimono you got this talisman from. Maybe you can have like a page for like the Death Stalker. You can have all his talismans. That way you can know where you got these talismans from, where you can go back to farm them. Because right now, if you don't go, research like a spreadsheet or something like that, everything is pretty much just word of mouth. And I feel like a system like this would be pretty cool to have actually in the game. But if I'm being honest, I would rather them just redo all of these talismans because some of these talismans make no sense at all. I have one talisman where it gives me a boost to wood damage and fire damage. If you play the game, you know that makes 0 sense. There's no weapon in the game, at least yet, where you have wood and fire damage on the same weapon. Why would I use this? It makes 0 sense. So the talisman system needs a complete overhaul in my opinion. I think it's another terrible system in the game, and it's definitely something that it might not affect you early on in the game. It was pretty cool to get these talismans, but the more you play, the more this thing becomes a headache. Now, the next big issue that I think this game has is the actual armor sets. Now, there are a lot of pretty cool armor sets in the game, but sadly, more likely than not, you're going to be using either a Verve armor set or an armor set with desperation. So that kind of narrows down the field a whole bunch, and that is the quickest way for people to get bored if they don't have new armor to grind for, if they don't have any way to actually upgrade that armor, if they can't customize it any type of way. People are going to get bored, they're going to leave, and I'm pretty sure that's what's happening at the moment because every build uses the same set of armor, just a different weapon. Now, there are a couple quirky builds you can run, like the Infinite Karakuri build. That kind of switches up a little bit. You can kind of run like a support build or something, but I think for the armor pieces, one, they need a buff. Some of those other skills are just completely useless. And two, instead of having things like Verve or Desperation, they need some armor perks that give you damage to elemental weapons or something like that. That way you can mix it up a little bit. Now, there is going to be a new kimono later on this month that is adding new armor and I believe a new weapon. Not like a new weapon type, but a new weapon tree, I believe. So we'll see how that actually shakes up the the quote-unquote meta that we have going on right now with just pure desperation. But other than that, they need to go back and buff some of these armors, add a whole bunch of new armors. They gotta do something because as of right now, 95% of the armors don't see any type of play. Now, next I want to talk about one of the things that drive me super crazy inside of this game, and that is the actual description on a lot of these skills, specifically the skills that tell you something that's going to be active for a while or something that's going to be active briefly. Please, for my sanity, please just put the actual time, maybe like in parentheses next to the word, and let us know how long some of these buffs are going to last. Because something like this, my new favorite gloves, the Fuma Clan gloves, come with the skill Hunter's Hunger. This briefly gives you a 20% attack boost. Now, this says briefly. When you hear the word briefly, you think like 5-10 seconds maybe. This lasts for 30 whole seconds, and if you are using the time changer perk at 40%, this is gonna last for 42 seconds. That is not briefly. Please update these wordings. I know it might not be that big a deal for a lot of people, but this literally drives me insane, the fact that they don't give us the actual timers. So if they could just give us a little bit more detail inside of some of these descriptions, that would actually be pretty perfect. Now, last but not least is something that I know 100% of the people watching this video have experienced if you actually played the game, and that is that your Karakuri did not do what you wanted to do at the moment that you wanted it to happen, which resulted in you either getting hit or dying. It happens to all of us. I don't know what is going on with the game, but sometimes you'll go to build a wall or something and it'll build it at a weird like 90-degree angle. Something's going on there, but the Karakuri system in this game has to work 100% flawlessly every single time. And I won't lie, most of the time when I'm doing stuff, the Karakuri works. But at certain times, things just get a little bit weird. And I know it's like a new system, so I will give them that. The system is unique. The system is pretty cool. It is pretty fluid and flawless. Not flawless, seamless, I should say. And I know that they're going to actually refine this and make it better. But as of right now, this is something that they need to work on for sure. Because when you're fighting things like the deep volatile solo, you don't get any revives there. If your Karakuri messes up and you take a hit and you die, you got to start the whole fight all over if you're solo. So there's also things like the Stake Karakuri just not working like how it's supposed to, specifically with the Maul and the Cloud Blade. Now the Cloud Blade is a little bit iffier, but the Maul in specific, that thing has a pretty cool attack with the combination with the Stake. But oftentimes what will happen is you will just absolutely just miss the monster. And I think it's because the positioning of the actual, you know, when the spring throws you up into the air, it's a weird angle. If you turn your camera and you turn your, you know, like your player model, it does help, but it also makes it easier for you to actually miss the actual attack. So that thing needs to be adjusted, needs to be tweaked, needs to work 100% of the time. And overall, I do believe that the Karakuri system is going to get better with time, especially if they get greenlit for like a sequel or like DLC. You know, there are going to be updates that we're going to be getting for free and regularly throughout the year, so that is good. I do believe this game is going to be in a much better place in like 6 months to a year, so I will still be here playing it, of course. But as for today's video, that is all I got for you guys. Now I could talk about this game for literally hours, but ain't nobody got time for that. People got to go do stuff, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this list. Is there anything else that you would add here and that you would like to see implemented or changed in the game? So yeah, man, I'm gonna get up out of here. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that shenanigans down below, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.